Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and we are bringing you today another summer cup battle. And in today's video, the featured Pokemon is Shadow Kingdra, which I feel is very strong Pokemon. And the reason for the same is that there is basically no Pokemon in the current meta that resists the Dragon Breath. And whichever meta there is no Dragon Breath resistance, the Dragon type uses do pretty well against that. I think the only relevant Pokemon which is there is Ferrothorn to some extent. But overall, this particular team do it really well for me. I went 12-3 with it and climbed all the way up to 2300. And one thing is you can use a grass flying type like Jumpluff or Tropius instead of Mantine. So let's start with the battles, and I hope you enjoy watching them. So straight away picking up a negative lead with this Macargo, and the reason I say negative is because most of the Macargos tend to run Rock Throw. I swapped to Kingdra. Most of the times you would save swap Vigoroth, but since they were running Macargo, I swapped to Kingdra because Shadow Kingdra is not that classy. You can also run normal Kingdra in your lineup because that will take damage bit more easily. We get a debuff on the Octazooka, which is quite nice, and we were able to grab a shield, so that's perfect. I'll come in with the Mantine to absorb whatever damage. I just hope that they go for Acid Spray, which will not do a lot of damage, but more or less they would be going for Leaf Blade. So they have certainly built up to one since they were able to farm down my Kingdra, and let's see what they throw. So they go for the Leaf Blade, which does not do a lot of damage after the Octazooka debuff. Unfortunately, I'm not. The switch timer is not yet up, so I'll have to throw this Water Pulse. Water Pulse being double super effective will almost knock out this Macargo. So the opponent surprisingly does not decide to shield, which one-shots this Macargo, and they have a Weeping Bell in place, so Vigoroth will take a lot of damage, but since it's quite bulky, I think it would have been able to throw 2 body slams, and that's the reason my opponent quit. So GG's to my opponent. Picking up next matchup up against Revenant, which again is a very good matchup for our Mantine. So surprisingly, the opponent is staying in this matchup. Maybe they want to catch an aerial ace, and that's the reason I was overcharged by one wing attack. So throwing this aerial ace, expecting to grab a shield here, and most likely the opponent will throw Shadow Ball or Seed Bomb and Tantip. Probably that's the strategy they're going for, because this is definitely a negative matchup for this Revenant. And my opponent goes for full sends in the Shadow Ball, which is quite nice for me. This will give me an opportunity to do some extra farm on my Mantine. Not much, just one wing attack extra, and we throw the aerial ace. So let's see if my opponent decides to double shield. They double shield their Revenant. And now I can safely let go of my Mantine because Kingdra with shields down is pretty good in this particular game. So as you can see, if they Seed Bomb, I will swap out immediately probably. Or not, my opponent does. My opponent is able to swap out, and I bank an aerial ace in my on my Mantine and then swap to Kingdra. Shadow Kingdra is I really like Shadow Kingdra because of the Dragon Breath damage that it puts in, but it takes a lot of damage as well, and it's this bait hurt me really because Brine is double resisted, and I ended up shielding from a Toxapex, which is not an attack weighted Pokemon, so this would have done basically no damage. The thing is that I am out of shields as well. I go for this Outrage, which will not knock out this bulky Toxapex, but will barely. Yeah, Toxapex barely survives, which is not good for me ideally because they will be able to throw this Sludge Wave here. To my surprise, they go for the Brine. Maybe it's a single move Toxapex, because they definitely would have gotten to a Sludge Wave. The opponent decides to come in with Revenant, which gets farmed down, and let's see what the opponent has. So they have, I think it was Skeledirge. So they bring in their Fire type, which will, this Octazooka will not knock out, but this will bring Skeledirge to in a Rock Slide range. Unfortunately, we don't get a debuff, and I just wanted to do some extra Dragon Breath damage before leaving, and I tried to make a failed catch here, but I think my opponent has quit the games, realizing that there's no win condition for them. So GG's. Moving on to the next battle, and we have a Girafarig lead, and this particular Pokemon is something that I feel really tricky is playing up against, because the confusions definitely will start to add up, and you definitely like in the hindsight you would not want to shield a Psychic Fangs, But once you get the debuff from the Psychic Fangs, the confusions do add up. My opponent swaps out to their Vigoroth. Maybe they want, I don't know, they want to preserve their Giraffe Rig or something. But I'll throw this Aerialist so that we are able to chip this Vigoroth, and then I go to Vigoroth of my own. Even if I soft lose this matchup, I'd prefer to come in with Kingdra and farm this Vigoroth down, because Kingdra with energy would be really crucial here, especially since the shields are up. Mantine was not able to grab the shields, and yeah, so opponent will throw this body slam. This will put me in yellows, but not in any threatening range. I would be able to get to the next body slam. Will I? Yeah, I think I'll barely be able to. As you can see, my Vigoroth is not that good a PvP IV. I basically didn't have one, so I make whatever I work with whatever I have. I have a body slam ready to go, and my opponent brings in Vigoroth, which is not very good, because I do have a dragon type in the back, a shadow dragon nonetheless, which will basically be helpless against this charm user. So I bring in my Mantine in hope that they don't shield their Wiggly, and just trying to throw on the right timing just in case I'm able to get to another Aerial Ace. So we throw one Aerial Ace expecting them not to shield, and they did not. We have some hope. They come in with their Giraffe Rig, and as you can see, the confusions are chunking away, and that's the reason I recommend using normal Kingdra over the Shadow one, because Shadow from Shadow Kingdra does not really do well against a charger bug as well, because it's taking neutral damage. So I tried to farm them down, and here I throw this move, which was quite surprising. I probably should not have the only reason that I threw this move, so that if in case I get the debuff, I would be able to perhaps the Icy Wind will not KO. I think Wigglytuff was at fairly good health. I don't think they would have got a Dragon Breath down. They go for the Swift, which almost not knocks out, and we die with the move, which is unfortunate. Despite having Wigglytuff on Kingdra, we managed to get to this stage. So I would say end result did not work in our favor, but regardless, it is what it is. So we are up against this Shadow type Flosion, and as you can see, the Dragon Breaths are chunking away, not shielding the first Thunder Punch, because definitely they will not be going for a Blast. But as you can see, that Thunder Punch did massive damage on the Kingdra. So here I was a bit skeptical about whether to shield or not, because Chestnut will be able to come and farm me down for good. The only good thing is that I'll be able to throw Octazooka, and if I get the debuff, it would be really nice. Oh, I go straight for the Outrage. Perhaps I want to get the KO on this Chestnut, and yeah, my opponent does not shields, which basically one-shots this Chestnut, and we are able to farm them down. So expecting another Fire type in the back, and it is a Talonflame indeed. So I think this game is done and dusted. The opponent, I think there is no win con for my opponent. And let's see, perhaps when they see the Vigoroth in the back, they might be able to, they'll probably quit. So I should have gone for Water Pulse here, because the only win con for my opponent was to no shield there, and hopefully that I throw an Aerial Ace. But at this stage, especially with them going Brave Bird, this game is over. Again, I should have gone for Water Pulse here, because Mantine definitely is not getting to another move. So any of the viewers don't make the mistake that I'm doing. And once they see this Vigoroth, I think they'll know that their game is over, because there is basically nothing they'll be able to do up against this Vigoroth, especially since I'm up a shield and they are debuffed off the Brave Bird that they threw on the Mantine. So they go for the Flame Charge, but I don't think it will be of any use. So yeah, taking a big win here against this Talonflame. And yeah, GG's to my opponent. Moving on to the next game, and let's see what the opponent will bring this time. So they bring in the Mantine again. I don't really worry about the opposing Mantine matchups, because in most of the cases I would be winning CMP, and it just has enough bulk that it survives the last Aerial Ace. So hopefully that I am able to win this particular matchup as well. This is quite a boring matchup because basically no Mantine is running ice beam at the moment, and the aerial ace are not doing enough damage onto the bulky Mantine. Excuse me. So we would be. I think this will go on for a while. So even if you are a Mantine user and you lose this particular matchup, this is fine because the opposing Mantine will be left with little to no energy, and you can come in with either Kingdra or Vigoroth to farm them down. I'd recommend Vigoroth because energy on Vigoroth will always be handy. So the opponent go for the aerial ace, and as you can see, I'm able to get to this aerial ace, and this will either secure the knockout. And if the opponent's Mantine go down, I'll immediately come in with Vigoroth. I don't want to give my opponent an extra energy, and especially since they're shielded, I can let go of my Mantine here, and let's see. I probably coming in with Vigoroth would be better here as compared to Kingdra. Let's see. I come in with Kingdra, which is also fine. We get some nice farm. I think we get 2 wing attacks worth of energy. So my opponent is thinking what they bring, and they get in this Venusaur, which is quite surprising for me. And this again is a beautiful matchup for Kingdra because, especially shields up, we would be able to shield both the frenzies and farm this Venusaur for a lot of energy. So I'm not up in. Perhaps I should have thrown the Octazooka first, but I just wanted to overfarm. Perhaps I'm energy greedy. So going for this Octazooka, hoping to get a debuff as well. My opponent shields, which is quite nice for me because now I will return or I go for this Octazooka of my own. Perhaps I want to save shield for Vigoroth in the back. So going for throwing this Octazooka, and let's see what my opponent has in the bag. They have a Skeledirge, and the opponent knows that it's game over for them. So they quit. Moving on to the next battle, we come up against Vigoroth, which is a neutral matchup for Mantine because Vigoroth can go for super effective rock slides. And I think in the zero shields, Vigoroth does end up winning because one rock slide and body slam KO this bulky Mantine. I am able to potentially catch a rock slide onto this Vigoroth of my own. It may be a questionable play, but I just want to save Mantine because they might have something weak to Mantine in the back. My opponent return favors by catching a body slam onto their Mantine, which is not nice for me. So now it's a reverse matchup. First, I was playing Mantine, now going up against Vigoroth. Now my opponent is facing my Vigoroth up against their Mantine. So the roles have reversed, but the switch timers are not there yet. So we will not see any funny catches anymore. So we are stuck in this matchup. Looks like my Vigoroth will get farmed down by Mantine. I think they would have been able to farm me down, but it is quite nice for me that I am able to that my opponent threw the energy. Coming up with my own Mantine, looking to farm them down because aerial ace will not do a lot of damage, and I think the energy at this point of time is really important. So going for a full farm down on, perhaps I can go for 100 energy as well, but decides to throw, maybe want to preserve health on my Mantine here. So we throw this aerial ace onto the opposing Mantine, and Vigoroth will come in. And now since Vigoroth took some counter damage, they are in a Water Pulse range. So Water Pulse probably will be able to knock out this opposing Vigoroth. Barely not enough. Maybe if it was my Vigoroth, it would have gone down. I think I have seen some matchups wherein my Vigoroth went down to Water Pulse plus aerial ace. So maybe there is some bulk point to this in this particular matchup. Coming in with Skeledirge, I was a bit slow in swapping out to my Kingdra. So now what I want is I want energy to be thrown on the Mantine from the Skeledirge. If they throw a Shadow Ball, that would be nice. But looking at the Mantine's health, they definitely will not. So they go for the charge move, which is okay for me. Now I can come in with Kingdra, shield once, and potentially look to farm down this Skeledirge with the Dragon Breath. And this is where like having neutrality on the Dragon Breath is deadly for my opponent, because if you don't resist Dragon Breath from something like a Shadow Kingdra, the Dragon Breaths will chunk away, and with Incinerate having the fast move, it becomes really difficult for for the opposing Pokemon. So GG's. Moving on to the next game. I think that was set 1. Moving on to the next set, going up against Quagsire, Shadow Quagsire, and this is where probably having a grass type, something like Tropius or Jumpluff would be really good, because you would be able to deal super effective damage and potentially one shot with a Leaf Blade or an Energy Ball. Regardless, we go for that. We throw this Aerial Ace onto this Quagsire and not expecting a no shield from them, which is quite fine. They'll go for the Stone Edge. I would like to sort of maintain the switch here, or try to get the shields on, but my opponent decides to bait with a Mud Bomb, which is not very good for me. This puts me on the back foot, so we go through this Aerial Ace just to get the shield back. So we get the shield back here, which is nice, and my opponent, if they are running Mud Bomb Aqua Tail, which is unlikely since they are staying in, I have to let this one go, because I can't afford to go to shield down up against this Quagsire. My opponent throw Mud Bomb. Maybe indeed they are running Mud Bomb and Aqua Tail, so I think they caught this move onto a Noctowl, which is something which I have not seen since a lot of time. This matchup is good for Vigoroth now, because Vigoroth with access to Rock Slide will be able to do super effective damage on the Noctowl. So Noctowl, after taking an Aerial Ace damage, will not appreciate this Rock Slide, and I think they'll get farmed down. They'll get counter farmed down now from the Vigoroth. So this farm down will be quite handy for me, because we will come out with a Body Slam. Perfect farm down from Vigoroth here, and the opponent comes in with Quagsire. I underestimated the energy on this Quagsire. That's the reason I went for the counter. Had I thrown the Body Slam, I think Vigoroth wins the CMP. And unluckily, the Quagsire is able to get to another move, which I probably cost me the game now. They come in with Mantine, and especially with the health that I have on Mantine, I definitely would want to get this debuff. I didn't even build to an Outrage, because I really need this debuff to win. And even if my opponent didn't shield, this Octazooka debuff will be really handy, because even though now we are in same on in terms of health, but that debuff will be able to put my opponent on the losing front. So GG's. Moving on to the next matchup, picking up Horrible Lead up against this Emolga. Emolga is not a very bulky Pokemon, however, it does massive damage. It has access to Discharge and Acrobatics. Acrobatics is something which will do a lot of damage on any Pokemon in my backline. And definitely Mantine don't want to take those Thunder Shocks or Discharge from this Emolga. So as I said, Acrobatics will do a lot of damage. I probably will decide to shield. As you can see, I give it a thought before shielding, and my opponent brings in their Jellicent, which is not good for this Vigoroth. Vigoroth does not appreciate going up against Jellicent, especially since my opponent's Jellicent is the Bubble variant. So we are taking neutral damage from their fast move. Otherwise, had it been Hex, we would have at least taken double resisted damage from those Hexes. So my opponent will throw Surf. They'll get to another one, I think. Yeah, probably going for the good timing here, which was not necessary in my opinion. This gives my opponent a bit extra farm, so we throw this Rock Slide, but I think my opponent is going for a complete farm down. I tried to make a catch of this Surf, because at the time I thought that was the right play, and opponent was going for a farm down indeed. Mantine will not be able to farm this thing down with the wing attacks, and probably my opponent will end up switching at any point of time, and that's the reason I went for this Aerial Ace, because if they backed out with this much energy, I think I would be on the back foot in this particular game. So my opponent comes in with Charjabug, so they are running double Electric Team, which is not quite good for me. But we still have Kingdra in the back, but the opponent Charjabug did 2 Volt Switches before bailing out. So this is the Volt Switch. The Charger Bug has a lot of energy. I don't even build up to Water Pulse because yeah, there is basically no point in doing so. We go for the Serial Ace, hoping we grab a shield so that at least we are even on shields. We are even on shields now. I furiously tap on the switch on the Kingdra, but not able to make that on time. The opponent was able to. I think they got 4 volt switches worth of energy. Letting first one go because yeah, there was no point, and they are probably at 6 or 7 volt switches. This probably would be an X-Scissor, and after one more X-Scissor, they would be able to get to another one. So we throw this Octazooka on the charge move priority, and we hopefully we get a debuff. Both of my Pokemon are low on health, so this debuff is quite nice, but I don't think that Mantine or Vigoroth will be able to farm them down even after this debuff. I banked a lot of energy on my Mantine, hopefully that we are able to see one. But thanks to that debuff, we are able to get to a Body Slam, which is quite helpful and which will give me a win on this game. So GG's to my opponent. That's another thing on running Kingdra, that Octazooka debuff can really make a lot of difference and make you win or lose the games. Going up against Shadow Typhlosion, this is a Pokemon that I wanted to feature on the video, but I used early in the game and then didn't get a chance to really get a chance to upload the video. So unfortunately, the Typhlosion video will not be out anytime soon. The Typhlosion, yeah, it's super good. I mean, it has with access to a spammy move on the water types like Thunder Punch. It does a lot of damage, especially something like a Shadow Typhlosion will put in a lot of work for you. They go for the Blast one, which is quite nice because not shielding it would have basically one-shotted this Vigoroth. So my opponent invested double shield onto the Typhlosion. They come in with Poliwrath, which is a bad matchup for Vigoroth. So maybe Vigoroth will get to another Body Slam before they are able to punch me down. So let's see. Definitely not getting to one. And one of the benefit of running Mantine over the flying grass types is that you can take Icy Wind to the face, whereas the grass types will take a lot of damage because it would be double super effective one. So, but I think that's a call that you guys would have to make while choosing your Pokemon, that whether you want to go for coverage against Poliwrath or something like a Charger Bug or Lantern. In my personal opinion is that I haven't really seen a lot of Poliwraths as compared to Charge Bugs in the meta, so that's the reason I recommend running Jumpluff or Tropius for this particular team. Coming up against Meganium, but Meganium will not get to a charge move before we are able to get to this Outrage. This Outrage will put in a lot of damage to this Meganium, even one-shot it from that range, and gives me the game. So GG's. So I think that was the last game for this video, and hopefully you enjoyed watching this video, and as you can see, it was a 4-1. So if you enjoyed these battles, if you enjoyed watching these video, just don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time, peace.